still a citizen rep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have forms, I guess we can start.
The city hasn't brought another name to us yet.
Okay, I suspect that's gonna be me.
Huh?
I suspect the city's gonna put my name forward as for the city.
Are you on the council now?
I'm on city council now, so since I'm at the meeting anyway,
You could mention it to Randy or whoever.
I'll check in with them again, because we had talked about it. Apparently,
Robin's officially still on.
Okay.
But she has come, I think last month.
Last month she wasn't, month before.
Oh. You were.
I was.
Yeah.
The month before that I wasn't.
I'm always a month behind.
All right, I guess it's 8 o'clock. We'll call the transit meeting to order. Roll call. I believe everybody's present except for Sweeney and Menz. Guess we need approval of minutes for the June 9th, 2021 meeting.
second.
Motion's been made by Chuck and seconded by Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. No public hearing that we know of. No public comment. Staff reports. Austin.
All right. Can I get screen sharing?
Austin.
Yep.
Just getting the screen sharing. She'll sort it out.
Oh, sounds good.
Austin, you should be able to share.
All right. Here we go. Okay, transit meeting 7:14. On the agenda today, electric bus details, ridership. We toured Namakagon Transit and Bay Area Transit a couple weeks ago. Our financials with us being right past the halfway mark here of the year, and then what's happening around the facility. Electric bus details. We had a call with Excel, Phoenix, and a couple others regarding chargers and bus delivery. John was on that call as well with us. We all decided it'd be best if the chargers came sooner than later with potential shipping. Unforeseen hazards coming up. So they are available and able to arrive as soon as August. But obviously with the buses coming here a little bit later, that was one of the topics that was brought up. Should we bring them here earlier and just keep them boxed up? Because when the meter starts, we have, I believe, 3 months credit before they start running the Excel electric meter on us. So, but with how everything else has been going, we thought it'd be better just to at least get them here and keep them inside or whatever, crate it up until the buses are ready to get here or a little bit closer to. Ridership. So I'm pretty excited about sharing some of this information. The doorstop and red seater ridership increased from 364 in May up to 419 in June. And then June was our first month of that new 1 hour free community route. And it increased from 118 in May, which also included a week of overflow for the Stout route. So some of those 118 are the students just taking that community bus for Stout. And then that went up to 162 in June with Stout not being in session. So June matched April numbers without Stout students being around using that community bus for the Stout route. So, and we had 17 riders on the community route on on Monday this week, where community members, it'd be 0 to 3 riders that would ride that community bus a day. And we had 17 with this new route. So I'm excited to see what it can do. One feedback comment that we got was, hey, I work 8 to 4 in town, but we don't start our community bus loops till 8, and our last loop is at 3, ending at 4. So this is something that before my time here, we did run a little bit later into the evening, and potentially starting a loop at 7, so it'd be 7 to 5 or even 7 to 6. And I think we'd gain some positive traction off that, but it's something that we might be able to bring back depending on feedback we get when Stout comes back this fall. I think we can get a little bit better utilization too out of this route when we can actually take people to work, and then it takes people home after as well. So as well as going a little bit later into the night for the Stout students wanting to get to Walmart, but are in class till 4, they could still do this. So any questions on this? Okay, transit tour at Namakagon, which is in Hayward, and then the Bay Area Transit, which is in Ashland, and almost, well, they include Iron County in there, so almost up to Hurley as well. So I guess we were too in tune with everything that the guy was showing us at Bay Area. I didn't get any pictures there. So I finally got some pictures when we were at Namakagon on the way back. But both awesome facilities. Both of these facilities cover multiple counties, and it's a lot more rural based. They can put on 50 to 100 miles and only have a couple riders. Just with how spread out everything is up there in the Northwoods. Bottom left picture was a pretty cool kind of module wheelchair securement unit for training in their big conference room. So that was something we might get John Douglas, our operations guy, to build out for us with how much he loves woodworking. So that was cool to see. Namakagon also has a pair of those mobile lifts that our county shop here, and John's got 4 or 6 of those, but potentially looking at putting these in the upcoming wish list for the upcoming years to be able to do a little bit more of the things ourselves. That's one of the big takeaways we got from both of these other transit facilities. As you can see in the next picture to the right, their own tire changers, balancers, buying oil in bulk, the little quick, easy stuff that's high markup at other places is where a lot of the cost savings lie. And then Namakagon Transit uses these in the picture in the bottom right. It's a fogger system that you actually carry as a backpack, and they call it their Ghostbuster unit that they go inside each bus at the end of the day. So that was kind of cool to see that. Key takeaways. Each transit system focuses on multiple counties, larger routes and longer routes. Their doorstop, door-to-door bus goes till 9 p.m. And I just asked, hey, how do you fund that if compared to just why we end at 5, stuff like that? And multiple county funding sources, multiple local municipality funding sources, and then they also have tribe funding for taking people to casinos up there and stuff like that. That tribes are paying the city buses to do that. And then they have a a pretty unique route that's called a hybrid demand response and fixed route. So one point in town at the top of the hour, for example, Walmart, and then let's just say the south side of town every half hour, but then all the minutes in between, they're picking up door to door. So that was an interesting concept that we haven't really seen before. That was just cool to write down and take some notes on. But great trip. Kent was on it. John Douglas was on it, and I was on it. And good trip. Okay, our financials. Everybody got a report of this in the emailed information out from Marge last week, but I just figured I'd touch on it since we're 6 months through the year. I'm not going to touch on every line item, but a few of the most of these line items don't total over, 2,000-3,000, but a few of them do. So the repair and maintenance bucket, we're doing pretty good on. We've spent 4,000 in the first 6 months, and our budget was 21. So we see some savings there. And our service contract for the staffing, we still have 31% available for that. There was a fat finger with the fuel at the bottom. I assume a fat finger before I got here, which said we'd spend $1,500 in a year on fuel. So this bucket's going to look pretty bad. I'm assuming we'll be right around 18 or 20,000 for the year in fuel. But so that is one outlier that there's no way we'll come close to that. But and then just in total, right now we're about 70% of and 30% to the good of what we should be spending through 6 months. So with that, if we're able to keep this up, everything should go perfect with the 40 grand per electric bus that we have to put down towards. And then with us getting approved for those other two, the third and fourth electric bus, or one large third electric bus, if those come in late 22, the carry forwards from this year are looking good for when those big expenses come. When we get the final results back after the county audit, it'll be nice to see where we 100% ended up for last year. But for this year, I know we're looking pretty good. What's happening around the facility? Team updates. Right now, we're about 8 weeks out from Stout starting back up. So we're doing our 1 hour daily bus detailing for the Red Cedar driver that comes in at 9:45, as long as it's not busy. To supplement the doorstop bus, that driver is going through the task list. About one bus every 2 days of items that need to get done on the bus for deep cleans before a big semester with them. Monthly team meetings, just a half hour to an hour meetings. We're starting once a month, starting tomorrow afternoon with the whole team. And then we're doing a CPR and AED team training in mid-August. It's scheduled for right now. Questions?
Do you have AEDs on the buses, Austin?
We do not. I'll write that down though. It might be, I knew back a few years ago, those are pretty spendy, but I think now they're probably pretty economical compared to.
Yeah, they come down a lot.
Yeah.
It's the cost is the of replacing the batteries on that
Mhm.
schedule. There's a mandatory schedule.
Yeah. I'll look into that.
Any other questions for Austin? not, thanks, Austin. I think it's nice to see you go to visit another facility. I think you learn a lot by doing that. So I think that's really nice to see you did that. So thanks. Anything else? If not, I guess we can adjourn the transit meeting if you have no other questions. All right.
Good to see you, Robin. However,
Thank you, everybody.
yeah, we still have the echo. Paper, I guess. Oh, I said once John gets done handing out paper, we can see if we can get this next meeting going. Gonna wait
As long
One
as
or-
we're waiting, John,
2 minutes while we try it.
did you notice
Oh.
how good you could read
Echo.
the financials that were on the screen because they were colored compared to the black stuff that you sent out?
I don't have a color scanner. I think there is one up front. I like to try it. I'll make a note. and send
Why
it.
don't you experiment with
A
that?
little
Yeah,
bit
Because I,
left, but not as bad.
Sure, they're easier, absolutely. Yeah, I see the numbers when they
I don't know.
copy them. They're not,
It was very strange because
you really got to look at it.
Is it possible just to grab them and not scan them and just drop them? So they wouldn't get foggy, you know, like when you typically run them through the.
I'll,
scanner.
I'll play with them and see what.
To where if we don't have to scan them in PDF, and then we just, he can grab from the file and we can send them out electronically, then you don't get that, the graininess and stuff like that. But it, you've seen in his presentation, it does make it.
I couldn't, yeah, I could
Yep.
read all his and I
Stand
couldn't,
right out.
I couldn't read stuff.
if we're ready, I will call the meeting to order. Roll call, everyone is here. Let's get this show on the road. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Brian, second by Randy. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Public comment,
We do have one gentleman here.
here we go.
Morning.
Morning.
That's my card around. Onslaught with Harris Associates. Some of you are, I see Richard there. Old time acquaintance. Some of you may remember me as the group manager for bridges for Harris Associates. And I promoting both roadway and bridge projects.
You want to hold the microphone up?
Okay, sure.
Have a chair.
Yeah, have a
Maybe
chair,
I should.
hold the microphone in.
There we go. Good. So, good morning, everybody. Dave Ponsloff with Harris Associates. Reason for this very short meeting is to just thank you for the recent ranking for the County Trunk Highway D roadway project, 4 miles from Ludington to the west. I had intended to come here in August just for a social visit, but I moved it up after I heard about the selection. So I'm using this as a thank you meeting, I guess. I think, well, Richard certainly knows about us and Chuck and some of the other folks that have been at the highway conferences. But roadways and bridges, we're your neighbor. We're over there. Eau Claire, where some of us actually live. And I guess we appreciate the consideration that you give to local firms like ourselves. In fact, today, Brett Hollister, who will be the project manager on this project, will be doing a scoping meeting where they enumerate the tasks for this is a three-party contract with DOT, yourselves, and us. So that this scoping meeting is a precursor to getting the contract specifics in place so that contract can be negotiated and move forward with field survey and what have you. So Brett is going to be the brains behind the project. We go back, gosh, I think one of the first bridges I designed for Mully was the bridge right there at Ludington at the end of the project. Right at 490th, maybe 450th, four something or other. So anyway, yeah, and I guess our past, probably the most recent larger bridge was Jake's Bridge at Tainer Lake. That one was a project to get that one done, but it turned out pretty good, I think. So appreciate the people on the selection committee with your confidence again in us, and did bring some breakfast goodies here. All the calories have been baked out, so they're totally calorie free. So once again, thank you. Any questions for me at all? Anybody? Looks like you're off the hook. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks again. Have a good meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
No items placed in request of the chair. Staff reports. John, over to you.
Highway operations, we just started paving on County Trunk J yesterday. They're out there this morning. It looks like we're gonna be able to get the first mat down potentially before the rain starts in this afternoon. We've been doing overlays. Chip sealing starts next week, so we'll have a couple weeks of that. Been doing some paving for the town of Red Cedar. The towns have been really good to us here the last month or two. We've been doing some work for Menominee, for Lucas, Red Cedar. A lot more stuff on our plate. I know Sheridan got some stuff coming up, I think, later this summer. It's been busy, kind of cleaning up the yard and getting our operations ready for the brushing and the mowing's been taking place out on the state and the interstate especially. Doing that top cut, we've had really good luck with that growth inhibitor, and we've been trying to track down the invasives that wild parsnip and that chervil. There's a couple places that we're still getting some regrowth, and the public has been informing us, some of the townspeople, letting us know where it's at. If we got to go back and hit it a second time, we're going to do that. So overall, highway operations, the guys have been keeping busy, kind of been dodging the heat with the operations, keeping everybody safe. Shop operations, we're catching up in the shop, a lot of routine maintenance. We're looking at the boom truck, the mowers, getting plow trucks inspected, ready for fall. So that's going good. Hasn't been much for major equipment repairs, so things are looking up there. Onto the monthly financial report. I could have John McLaughlin take over for that. The numbers are looking pretty good.
And the only thing that jumped out on me was the revenue on that county maintenance was down quite a bit from what we had budgeted. So that's the quarterly state aid, and we did get a check for $811,000 on July 6th. So it bumped it up. And then the other one was the state roadway maintenance. That's the requisition that we send to the state. And we don't record the revenue part of it until we actually get the money in. So we're a little bit behind there. We had some equipment that I had been told was disposed of in 20, and then it came through on the 21 requisition. So we wanted to make sure we got that cleaned up before we continued on. So we're catching back up on the requisition, but for right now, we're a little bit behind. So that was the only thing that jumped out at me, other than, I don't know, John with the expenditure side.
Yeah, when you look at it here, we're a little bit low on our expenditures versus our revenues, so I think we're looking good there. Looks like we got about 150,000 to the positive right now. We did hire Missy Schultz is our new administrative assistant in there. She's exclusively right now putting together the spreadsheet so we can track stuff on a daily basis. And hopefully in the next month here, when she gets everything entered, I can relay those spreadsheets onto you guys, and it'll be pretty clean cut, very simple to look at, and then we'll have a good handle on just about real time on where we're sitting financially. So
Excellent.
basically, we can track the maintenance, the state and the county, the winter maintenance, summer maintenance, building operations, equipment. We'll be able to have a good solid breakdown where we're running fat, where we're running light. If we need to make adjustments, where we can make those adjustments pretty much in real time to kind of stay on track. So she's working out very, very well. So we're happy to have her on board. On to the vehicle registration fee. I know this doesn't
Hang on,
come-
John.
Oh,
Dave?
I got a question
Oh,
on
sure.
the financials, couple of them actually. First one on, under expenditures, we have a full budget for shop crew and field crew, but we don't have any budget. Where is that in the budget?
Because all the labor and SAP runs through those accounts, that's why the actual there. So if you go down to like county maintenance, notice how light it is compared to what the budget? That's because part of the labor is up here in the field administration and field crew, so it should really be down there. And we're either gonna have to budget differently or figure out a way to allocate those like on a monthly basis or something to get them back down into the correct line items.
Sounds like budgeting differently on a different line. like
Correct,
we did
because we used to do it by cost pools, and SAP, it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Okay.
So we're still kind of learning on how to get it into the right buckets, so that it makes sense. But labor is one because it runs through payroll. I should say I can't touch it. I have to go make an actual entry to move it from there. We can't in SAP say, okay, these guys are working on this, county maintenance or state maintenance, let's put it down there. You can't do that in SAP. It goes into that one big bucket, and to get it down into the correct one, I need to do a journal.
Okay.
But I think, Dave, with what Missy's doing, tracking labor, materials, equipment, we can basically take her spreadsheet, those buckets, compare them to John's SAT buckets. And when you add his buckets versus my buckets, they should just about zero out perfectly. So I think in the upcoming months, when she gets those spreadsheets constructed, I think then you'll be able to look at it. You'll be able to say, this is how many hours and dollars we spent in the shop, how much on parts, equipment, etc. So I think we're getting to that point to where we got something to compare our SAP numbers to.
All right.
So with the spreadsheet, you could just set up the formula so it'll automatically flow.
Yep. And then we just compare our numbers to John's numbers for verification.
So the other one is like that fuel handling.
That's another question.
The warehouse inventory.
Okay.
So you see the warehouse inventory has got a negative number in it. That's because of the difference between what we buy the fuel and what we sell it to the other departments and to the, so that's the credit. Again, it's something we're gonna have to work through to get it into the right buckets. But that's what, when I was looking at them, those things jumped out at me.
Okay. And then my final question is, what's on the bottom, the highway CapEx? What's CapEx? I see that.
Capital
throughout-
expenditures. Capital expenditures, the money that's been spent on equipment.
All right. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Chuck.
Mr. Chair, yes, I had a couple of calls on the spraying, the roadside spraying. And the people were concerned that if the products used were not environmentally friendly. I assured them that they were. So I just want to go on record to have you say it again. They are environmentally friendly. And they were also concerned about how much spraying was actually taking place. Do they have, and I said I would raise the question as far as that. So
The three products that we have been spraying are all non-restricted use pesticides. One is a growth inhibitor, two are to control the invasives. And the Plateau is the growth inhibitor. And then the other two are escaping me right now, but those are basically the ones for the chervil, the parsnips. Open site, I think, is one of them. But all three that we use, we have the material data safety sheets. They're all non-restricted use, so we don't need licenses. They're all no contact. Raise animals on them the day after or the day of, so relatively safe. So, and typically we're spraying just that top cut, that 14 feet, unless there's vegetation that needs to be controlled up to the 30 or 33 feet, typically our right away area.
right, because I did say we actually have right away out 30. I mean, we could in theory go
To 33.
right. So I assured him that we were trying to be as restrictive as possible, but I just wanted to make sure.
Right now, we're just trying to control that top cut where the animals can hide, shoot, dart out into traffic. So 10 to 14 feet is our kind of our goal line. Unless you got parsnip and stuff that creeps out more towards the right of way line at 33 feet, then typically we go beyond there just to control the spread of that.
Okay, thank you.
And I do have those material safety data sheets. If anybody needs copies emailed or want to stop by the highway shop, just pass that along. That we do have all that available
On file.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And if they want to call Brent, I know people in my area call Brent. He's informed them probably the exact same thing. I knew that there was some questions, but I also knew that a couple of them talked to Brent.
I've also fielded probably a dozen or 15 phone calls. The guys have been trained, read through all the application and mixing directions, so they're aware of what product they're putting out there. And then, we've just been relaying on. I've emailed the MSDS sheets to a couple individuals that requested them, so there's no issues there.
Okay, thank you.
I had one farmer that was quite upset. A row of his beans got taken out. He said it's just terrible. He said, that's not necessary. Well, so I went and looked at it. Well, it might have been 50 feet, one roll. So, but I said,
And it was probably within the right of way.
I said, did you measure? And he goes, well, no, but that's just ridiculous. He said, but
Because we do have some areas where they go to the toe of the end slope, and then there was a little bit of carryover in there, and it's like, well, those 4 or 5 rows belong to us.
That's right.
Just thought I'd bring it up.
All righty.
Any other questions on the budget financials?
Doesn't look like it.
Go ahead.
I said doesn't look like it, so.
So we'll go on to the vehicle registration fee update. I know you guys don't review this until next July and then forward your recommendation onto the county board. But some of the high notes are in 2020, we collected $606,367 of the wheel tax. Part of the reduction was due to we didn't start collecting until March 1st. So after the board passed it in November, we had to have a full 90-day cooling off period per state law before we could collect, which would have been eligible for mid-February, but can't be unfair because if I buy my tabs at the beginning of the month, I get the grace period. John buys his in the other half of the month, he has to pay the $20. So we had to wait till the first full month came around, which made it March 1st. Our anticipated revenue for 2021 is $727,640. And to date, we have received $369,422, which is slightly over half of our projected revenue. So we'd have about $358,218 if everything comes through with our anticipated number of vehicles subject to tax. So any questions on that?
I thought we had to do that this year or next year.
I had checked on, I had it in my calendar for July, so I asked John to check into it. July next
And
year.
Paul and I reviewed the ordinance, and it says July of 22 is when it's subject to review for the highway.
We wanted it full year of data before we did the first check. And we were only gonna have what, 3/4 of a year. the
I
full
was
first
a year off, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, but we did look into that because Paul originally thought 2 was this July, and then we went and pulled and went and reviewed. No, it's 2020.
Well, and that's the reason we put it on, the review note on for here was to just double check, make sure we were on top of it.
Any questions on the vehicle registration fee? Then we will move on to National Rail Safety Week is coming up here in September. I'm in full support of it. They kind of sent the template that Canadian National sent us out. When you look at some of these numbers, it's pretty staggering the amount of people that are either killed or injured in vehicle railway incidents every year. Looks like last year there was 201 fatalities and almost 680 personal injuries. So with 1,900 basically collisions every year, that's well over 3 per day. So that's pretty staggering the numbers. I'm in support of this. I'm going to sign off on it and send my support to the Railway Commission. Just any comments on the group? Yeah, I think we're doing a bunch of crossing updates. That the rail at B, we're working in conjunction. That's kind of what postponed that MLS project. The railway, they move at a lot slower pace than everybody else. But to have a new rail crossing that is smooth and that'll basically communicate with the signal lights that'll go in at that intersection with the truck stops, it's going to be fantastic for everybody. So I think the extra year of paper pushing with the railway is definitely going to be worth our last thing on my staff report is the 2021 Fall Commissioner Committee meeting. Jackson, the last one was in Eau Claire 2 years ago. It's Jackson's turn, so it'll be in Black River Falls, and it'll be on September 28th of this year. And I will, as soon as I get the details, I will forward that on to the committee. And if you guys are interested in more, there's usually TDA, Craig Thompson, I'm sure, Transportation Secretary will be there. Pretty informational, and you get to talk to a bunch of your peers. I enjoy it every year, and typically there's a good meal to go along with it. So I'll keep you guys updated, but you guys can pen in the date. It will be September 28th for sure.
Okay, that is across from the Wisconsin Counties Association meetings. So
Yeah.
I think a bunch of us will probably not be able to go
That's
because of
bad
that.
timing.
Yep. And I know they did say that, and they kind of pulled their committees, and not a lot of people were going to it, so they ended up keeping the date.
Okay.
So if you're available, you're welcome to go with. If you got bigger fish to fry, I totally understand. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Moving on, well, any questions on the report not yet covered? Seeing none, move on to considerations for actions to be taken by committee, starting with the vouchers. Anyone have any questions on the vouchers? Moved, approved by Randy, second by Chuck. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 2022 legislative agenda.
I basically put out the summary and Paul asked us all, the department heads, to put together, kind of mimicked last year on increasing the support for the gas tax to kind of reflect the other Midwestern states. I know we do lag behind. I'm a big fan of the gas tax because out-of-state people that are destroying my roads are also paying for it. It's more of a user-based. The more you drive, the more you're paying to fix the road because you're doing more damage. You come from Illinois, you come from Minnesota to go up north, you're helping us to pay to fix the road, not placing just the burden on the locals when everybody is wrecking the roads. So I put that back on there again, totally in support of that. And then I think we need to grab the legislators by the ear and have them, we need to support more local funding on the county, the local county system, and on the local roads for the towns. I think typically they fund the big state projects and then we get overlooked. I don't think the revenues ever trickle down far enough to get down to the local level to actually make an impact. So I also added that to there, and I'd like to forward both of those on to exec.
Anyone have any further comment? Otherwise, I'd like to, I would happily entertain a motion to forward this to executive superintendent. Second. Chuck and Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to exec. That takes us to plow blades.
The last thing that we got on the agenda today is the 2020-21 blade bid. We have the low qualified bidder selected for two of the blades and one for the other. We're looking for the regular carbide blades, H&L Masaba, and for the rubber blades, for a total of $39,622. For the greater blades, we're looking at US Blade and Chain for $2,506.50. So we're looking for a total of $42,128.50. The rubber blades have been performing fantastic. Last year was a little bit lighter on our season, but for a couple years there, we were buying $120,000, $130,000, $145,000. I think we bought in blades 3 years ago. So rubber blades are lasting longer, a little bit more favorable winters. We're going into that drier cycle. We're basically at about a third for blades, and we'll have a really nice stock in-house in case something decides to take a turn.
It's nice to hear.
So this is less than last year. Also.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like a lot less than last year.
I think we were at 86 or 96,000 for last year. So it was to the point to where we almost wouldn't have to do anything. But if we had a bad winter, we'd cut it real close. Dan and I talked about it. The way materials have been going up, I don't think blades are ever going to get any cheaper. So let's get back up to a nice, comfortable stock and buy them at a cheaper price. They don't go bad. No shelf life on them. So our recommendation was let's bid it. When they came back that they is where they're at for 42 grand to have a really nice stock again. I think it's a wise decision.
I make a motion we move forward with the recommended vendors.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Randy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Good on the blades. No resolutions or ordinances. Next meeting will be August 11th. Anybody have anything else? We are adjourned.